This is a screencast to demonstrate how to create a personal budget. And I've downloaded, or I have an originating file that I created here with um, data, that I made up. And this is just an example. So starting with this, I've got a section for your income. So income, and then I've got wages and what your annual or monthly wages are. And I've got a category for dividends. You may not have that, but you may have other sources of income that you want to include in your income section. So if you want to add a row, just right-click on the row number there and click on Insert, and you can add something here. Let's say for your tax return. You're expecting to get a refund from the federal government, so that's probably going to be in March sometime. So let's say I don't know, $890. Just a nice little windfall there from the Uncle Sam. And then I've got a section here for expenses like rent, food, tuition, books, entertainment, car payments, miscellaneous. And so I'm going to show you how to finish out the rest of this and demonstrate the skills that are required for this project. So first thing here, we've got our spreadsheet title, and we want to center that in the middle of the worksheet. So we're going to use the merge and center function to do that. And so I basically highlighted the range of rows from A1 to M1, and then use this merge and center to merge those cells and center that text. And I'm going to do the same thing for the monthly estimates. So just again, this time I did A2 through M2, merge and center. And I'm going to use the cell styles to change this to title. Okay, the title cell style. And for this, I'm going to use, I don't know, heading 4. Okay. And I've got 12 months here of data, but I only have January as my heading. So one nice thing about Excel is if I use my fill handle here to fill that to the right, I don't have to type in the month titles. It'll do it for me. And I can do the same thing here for my expenses section. And then we probably want to format those column headings. So I'm going to just highlight my column headings here. And if I hold my control key down, I can also highlight the column headings for my expenses section. And then I can go up here to cell styles and maybe use heading 2. Or I'll just use heading 1. Okay. Now I want, we've got these numbers in here for our budget, and we're going to want to total each, the income and the expenses section. So to do that, we use the skills that we've learned so far. We can do the auto sum here. But you'll notice when I click on the auto sum, it didn't select ranges B4 through B6. So, but it does have the B6 highlighted. So I don't have to erase that. All I have to do is drag use my mouse to highlight the range that I do want, and you'll see how it inserts that into the sum function. And then I can hit enter, and then I can use my fill handle to fill that right. So now I've got the totals for my income section. And I want to do the same thing for my expense section. So I can go up here on the total line and click auto sum. This time it does have the right range, so all I have to do is hit enter. And then I can use my fill handle to drag that right. And then I want to, so I'm going to use my control key again to highlight non-adjacent ranges. And I'm going to go up here to my cell styles, and I want to, this is one of the requirements of the assignment, I'm going to use the total cell style. See how it puts the double lines underneath, and it makes it a bold. We're going to want to make these numbers, so I'm going to use my control key to select non-adjacent ranges again. So I want all my numbers to be currency style. So select currency. Okay. And then I want to have the rows banded. So one way to do that is, this is an easy way to, well, let's do some formatting on our on these labels here for our rows. So let's go ahead and choose a cell style of heading 4. Okay. And then I'm going to use this to create some banded rows. So I'm going to click this income through and then all the way through December there. And I'm going to click on the Insert tab and select Table. And my table has headers. We're going to have that checked. Now, one thing I don't like about this is it's got these filters at the top. We don't really want that, but let's go ahead and choose the banded rows that we want. And we can choose from any one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one, the light orange, table style, medium 24. And then I'm going to convert it back to a range because I don't want those filters, and converting it to a table adds a bunch of other stuff too. So when this asks me if I want to convert it, I say yes. Now we still have the banded rows formatting, but we don't have those filters and some of the other restrictions that the table makes you have. So let's do the same thing for this table down here. So we're going to click on the Insert tab, select Table. My table has headers. Go over into the table styles and select the one that we chose before, and then convert it back to a range. That's an easy way to format your table, make it look more professional, and just make it look a lot nicer. So, okay, so now the next part here, we're going to calculate our net. So the net is, so we're going to put a formula in here. The net is our income, so the total of our income. So we did a equal sign to start the formula, and then click on the total of our income. And then subtract from the total income your total expenses. And that will give you the net from your budget. Then we can use our fill handle to fill that to the right. And you'll notice that in some cases we've got negative numbers, like here is a negative number, here's a negative number. So I'm going to want to do some conditional formatting on this row here. So I'm going to go up here to the conditional formatting after I've selected that range, and I'm going to highlight cells that are less than, I'm going to use the highlight if it's less than, and if it's less than 0, so I'm going to put that in this box here. We want it to be light red fill with dark red text. We click OK. Okay. And I'm also going to apply a second conditional formatting. If it's greater than 0, then I'm going to ask it to do the green fill with dark green text. Now I can easily see where I've got negative cash flow. And then if you wanted to, you could also do a third conditional formula. There's this icon sets. We can do these directional arrows. I select that, it shows an arrow, whether it's trending, how it's trending, or So it's just a little feature that's kind of nice. You notice that these hash marks, just all that means is that the column width is not wide enough. So if I select that column and move my cursor so to the right boundary of the column, double click, and then I can do the same thing for these two columns here. And it'll auto adjust the width of the column to accommodate the data. Okay, and then just as a last thing, I can also put a line here for cumulative savings. And you'll notice that my this overflowed into the other column here, so I'm going to go up here to my alignment section and select wrap text. So then cumulative savings is going to be, in this first cell, we're going to put a formula that just basically copies the dollar amount that's in our first month's net. And then for the next cell, or for the next month, our formula is going to be equal to what the end amount was, or the cumulative savings was at the end of the last month. And then we're going to add that to the cumulative savings for February. And then we can just use the fill handle to fill that to the right. And this will tell us if we stick to our budget at the end of the 12 months, we'll have $7,000 in savings, and maybe we can go and buy a car. So I'm going to do something down here underneath my cumulative savings on cell B23. I'm going to insert a little chart, mini chart. I'm going to use the Sparklines. So I'm going to use this in the on the Insert tab in the Sparklines section. My location is B23, and my data range. So my data range is going to be my cumulative savings row there. And then if I click OK, it'll insert a little mini chart in that B23. But I want that to kind of span across all of the cumulative savings. So I'm going to take and highlight row B23, or the range B23 that has the Sparkline through M23. And then I'm going to go to my home tab and click on the Merge and Center. And then if I make this row a little bit wider, or that row height a little higher, it shows the Sparkline chart. And with that selected, well, I can't modify that now, but anyway, that shows the trend of your cumulative savings. Then the other thing for the assignment is you have to create a pie chart for at least one month of your expenses. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to do it for the month of August. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and start by highlighting my categories here. Don't include the total row. And then I can use my control key to go over and highlight the August column. And don't include your total rows. And then on the Insert tab, I can select pie charts. And I can do it 2D or 3D, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do it 2D to demonstrate. And then once you've got your chart created, that's how simple it is to create the chart for the expenses in August. We want to add, well, first of all, we want to move it to a different sheet. That's one of the things required by the assignment. So once you've got the chart selected, you get the Chart Tools menu. If I click outside the chart, that Chart Tools menu goes away because that's a contextual menu. So select the chart, and then you have to click on the Design tab under Chart Tools, and there's that Move Chart button. And we want to move it to a new sheet, and we'll call it August Expenses. And then click OK. And that moves our chart to a new sheet. Now, another thing that you have to do for the assignment is to add data labels. So if you click here, I can select the data labels, and if I click on that arrow, we can have it like data callout, like this, or we can have it inside best fit. Let's do the data callout. And you'll notice up here we can choose different styles. So if I expand this whole thing, got all these different options that we can choose from. Choose that. That doesn't exactly appeal to me, but and so again, there's also the styles you can select from on here. You can do data filters. You can change the chart type here. A lot of things you can do. You might want to play around with this on creating charts to see what you can do. But I mean, at the very basic, that's what you can do. Then the other thing here is if I expand this data label and go to more options, then it gives you more opportunities here. You can either do it as a value, or you can have the value and the percentage on your labels. You can change on the text options. You can, let's see, text fill. So, don't know if we can, anyway, you can play around with this, but that's basically what you have to do. And if you turn something that looks like this, you might want to actually make it more like a real budget for you and put numbers that really apply to your situation, because this is actually a pretty useful thing to do. And then you can just save that, turn it in, and you should have fulfilled all the requirements of the project. That completes the video.